On fight nights in Las Vegas, all the hustlers, all the players, all the pimps, everyone that had money or inspired to have money was at those fights in Las Vegas. Mike Tyson, Tommy Hearns, George Foreman, Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard was one of my favorite fighters in the world. Every fight he had, I would be at all his fights. When Mike Tyson came on the scene, it was bigger than Tommy Hearns. It was bigger than Sugar Ray Leonard. It was bigger than George Foreman. It was just like Mike Tyson just brought the world of drug dealers to Las Vegas, in my eyes. He was one of the fighters that was more down to earth to me. You know, like you can be in LA at Chicken and Waffles, and Mike Tyson sitting up in there eating. Mike Tyson may not even know, but he's sitting down having lunch or dinner with a drug dealer. And I could go over to the drug dealer table and say, what's up? You know, to that particular person that's having dinner or lunch with Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson didn't have to know who I was. But when I walked away, he knew who I was. I knew that when I went to Las Vegas, I knew that I would meet other drug dealers or other people that was in the game, and that I would make more money through them. So I was kind of like venturing out more when I went to Las Vegas. I wanted to meet more people because the more money I made, the more I wanted to make. The more powerful I came, the more powerful I wanted to be. So I wanted to always take my drug game to a whole nother level. So that's how I ended up meeting guys that lived in Chicago, Miami, St. Louis. I knew that because it was a time that I would go to fight nights and I would see all these drug dealers, but it was a time I couldn't talk to them. But once I was able to expand my territory, I was able to venture out and meet other drug dealers. I'm gonna honestly say that a lot of men's weakness was to women. And by myself being a woman, women would talk to me, not knowing how involved I was. So I would always take beautiful women with me to these different events, get a few hotel rooms and put 2 women in each room. But when we would go out to the club, you know, the different men would always come and, you know, try to, you know, talk to the women and everything. And I would let the ladies know who had money, who didn't have money. Don't talk to him, that's a worker. You want the top-notch person. So I would always meet, you know, like the top-notch drug dealer, just for whatever reasons, the way I carry myself. Because my friends were nothing like me. I could spot the one that had the money, but I would tell them the one that had the money. And so I know several ladies that would roll with me. I introduced them to men that had money, and I never drink the smoke. I'm always 100% knowing what's going on around me. So after the fight, whether Mike Tyson won or whoever won, it's like the after party, it's the dinner, it's the company. And then the next day after the fight, you got on your Fila outfit or your Elise outfit or your Sergio Tacchini jeans or whatever you have on, but you still looking good because you're going shopping. Everybody wanted to shop in Caesar's Palace, or everybody wanted to shop at the Las Vegas Mall. So you running into everybody that have money, and everybody's trying to impress, and everybody's looking good. So I met this one guy, and then I met another guy, but both of them kind of like wanted to take me out that night. And I was just trying to get away from one guy to get to another guy because it was like so many hustlers in town. I remember telling the other guy, I just meet you in LA because I wanted to be with this other guy that was in, he had an amateur boxer before the main event. So I know he was like chipped up, but he didn't know who I was and I didn't know who he was. And what I liked about this particular guy, he liked me and he had money. And I can tell he had money. And we got to know each other. And so then he said to me, he said, do you know anybody that I can get some drugs from? And I told him, I said, yeah, I think I do. And so then he said, well, if you hook me up, you know, I pay you. So I said, okay. And he asked me what I want. And I told him I wanted a house. And so I remember he gave me $30,000 to put down on the first house that I bought. And I got him drugs. So I got double pay. But he never knew I was the connection until later, like maybe 2 years later or so. I would never tell him that it was me. He thought I was getting it from somebody else. But I remember he bought me a house. He gave me a down payment on a house. It was always a time that I let people think who I wasn't, especially when I was at the fights in Las Vegas. I would just let people think I was just a regular person. I didn't never go in meeting any man or woman to say who I was or who I wasn't. But at the same time, drug dealers that was on a high scale of distributing drugs, they kind of knew who I was, because I was kind of like one of the only Black women in LA that was one of the biggest drug dealers that could associate with men on a man's level. You couldn't just walk up to a big drug dealer and just say, have conversation with them. They were like untouchable. And the same thing with me. You can just walk up to me and say, hey, what's up? You know, I'm very cautious of somebody approaching me. I didn't feel like I never had to prove myself, because I always felt strong and untouchable. I never felt like threatened from another woman or another man, ever, never.
Did it ever make you feel lonely?
I never felt lonely until, you know, I lost the love of my life. That's when I felt lonely and powerless.